Let's see, I'll try to keep the time. The stream is live.
Hello, everyone, to the next episode of the Data and Analytics live stream. Today we have Massimo as guest, and he talk about uh, digitalization KPIs. So I think we learn a lot, and I have also have a short introduction. It will be very interactive for you today. Also on this event, we give you a certificate for attendee. You can go on the um, URL you see at the bottom. So you fill out your form. We only use this data internal, and you can use it for. Here something happened. Um, yeah, and another thing is we collect your questions when you are here. You can write your questions in the chat. We collect them and put it in the Q&A session. Also for the people who like to connect, they can write the hashtag Lion for LinkedIn Open Network in the comment field. So everyone knows who wants to connect each other. So use it. Then the next thing we have, it's join us on Meetup. So it's not the best overview of our our live streams here on LinkedIn. So if you like more of this, you can go on the Meetup page. And the last thing is the Data Governance Day is on the 11th November. So you can also watch the Data Governance Day info page. And yeah, it's also a community idea. You can also send your initiative. You feel free. We put it on the page. So we can use it. So Massimo, thank you. You are here. It's really nice to have you here. I hope you have a good day.
Yes, definitely. Besides the weather, the day is good. Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. Do you see the screen? I'm sharing screen. I want to make sure you see it in the
I
presentation.
put here's someone who really want to start. So this is good. I put your presentation on the stage, and I go from the stage and collect the questions. And yeah, let's go.
Thanks a lot, Mirko. So thanks to everybody for being here. Thanks to Mirko and Data and Analytics for inviting me. I am Massimo Marcolivio. I'm originally Italian. I live in Switzerland, and I'm passionate about a specific aspect of digital transformation, which is today's topic, the measurement of the results of digital transformation projects. So it's a topic that is very strongly related with data and analytics. Is one of my favorite LinkedIn groups because data and analytics provide the insight to manage things in the correct way. As the saying goes, you cannot manage what you don't measure. And so that's my passion. That's what we will discuss in the next hour or so. And to put things in perspective and understand why the measurement of digital transformation initiatives is so important, I would start with a short reality check. So you see here an image, you will see some more. All the images are of course, produced with the help of ChatGPT. You see a bunch of business people, probably a management board. They are kind of silent, looking kind of in disarray, desperation, tired at least, while they stare at some banknotes that are burning. Behind them, the sun is going down. It's the end of a long business day, but maybe we should say a business cycle. This is a metaphor, of course, that I decided to use in order to share some statistical evidence about digital transformation projects. Now, believe it or not, the numbers, the statistics say that over 80% of digital transformation attempts fail. So this means that companies invest a lot of money. You know that these projects can be expensive. They involve a lot of people. They also wait quarters, months, maybe a year or plus. And eventually they don't really get results. They don't get a return on their investment. It's shocking. It's a very high number. And basically it suggests that it is better to give up a potential digital transformation project rather than embarking on such an adventure. And this number is also reflected in terms of management. So you might have heard that in general, a chief marketing officer, chief financial officer, so people in the so-called C-suite, they stay in place in the office for about 5 years. This is an average, of course. But chief digital officers, they stay less than 3 years even. So we have a big failure rate and CDOs that have a very short tenure. So what's the matter? Is it because the chief digital officers are totally incapable overall on the planet? Statistically, this is not possible. So the other explanation is the correct one. There is something wrong with the way companies conceive and execute their projects, their initiatives of digital transformation. And this has a lot to do with the measurement of the results. They don't really know if a project has worked or not, if someone has made mistakes or not, and when. So it could happen that a project that was well conceived and then maybe even started in the right way suddenly gets stopped because there is a new management that doesn't see the results. Nobody understands that a couple of fine-tunings would be enough to make the project go in the right direction. So it just gets stopped. Simple as that. And all the money and time are lost. On the opposite side of the spectrum, reality shows that there are some projects that are clearly bad. They do not work, but since there is no measurement, it's not possible to prove that these are bad initiatives. And maybe, for political reasons, the one in charge manages to get support from the management, and these projects go ahead and keep on wasting and absorbing resources of the companies. Either or, this is anyway a problem. And now we are in a phase of economic difficulty, budget gets cut. And I was at a big conference some weeks ago. The conference was focusing on digital transformation and especially on AI. And many people started saying, hey, I don't have enough budget. I don't see the return on my investment. Maybe this is just a hype. Maybe I should stop investing and avoid being involved by this hype cycle. All of this comes from the fact that there is not a measurement of the results. And the solution cannot be, okay, we don't know what the results are, let's stop all initiative. This is not a solution because the world out there keeps on moving. Digital disruption is changing the business in basically every sector. And if a company stands still and does nothing, eventually it can find itself out of the market. So the answer is not, okay, we don't do anything. The answer is finding a way to measure. Now, a bit about myself. So how did I get to this point? So I've been working in the technology industry for several years, but I have a background in business administration. So I was involved field in projects of digital transformation. And so I've seen in the reality of business, the difficulty of many companies investing in technology, but struggling to see the results, to understand if they were doing the right thing. And some years ago, 5 years ago, I went to IMT Business School. It's in Lausanne, Switzerland, where I live. And I met Professor Michael Wade, who is an expert of digital business transformation. He explained to me about this huge failure rate. And I asked him, okay, but how can a company measure if they are doing the right thing in terms of digital transformation? How are the results measured? And he confirmed that the measurement of the results doesn't really happen. And if you think about it, it's ironic because I don't know all your companies, but companies are able in general to measure basically everything. If a lead arrives online or not, how many people read a blog, how long a sales rep stays on the phone with a customer. So there are all kinds of dashboards, but almost nothing or very little about digital transformation results. So with IMD and Professor Wade, we decided to try to understand how success can be measured, and we started analyzing hundreds of case studies, really a lot, both field and academically, to try to understand two things: how a company can guarantee the success of its digital transformation initiative, and how this success can be measured. Now I'm changing slide. Mirko, please tell me if the slide have not changed. You should see a new slide that says business objectives with the drawing of a target and an arrow in the middle of it. Does everybody see the new slide? Mirko, do you hear me?
Sorry. Yes, it works. It's fine.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much for confirming. So I will now share the two key findings of this research. This research is ongoing, but there are two findings that are already very clear, and they should guide companies when they onboard on digital transformation projects. So the first finding is about the clarity of the business objective. So we have noticed that success of digital transformation happens when a company, before starting a project, has decided its objectives in terms of business, not technology, because it's not just a technology upgrade. And normally, the business objectives are related to four big categories that you see listed here. One objective that a company might decide to pursue is investing in digital technologies in order to find new sources of value, find basically new ways to make money, to get profit, to get revenues. This can be also, if you want, a change of the original business model. But a company can also decide to invest in digital technologies, for example, artificial intelligence, to engage better with the existing customers in order to retain them, in order to make sure that they don't leave, and in order maybe to increase the share of wallet. Another objective is more internal, but still relevant for the bottom line: operational efficiency. A company can say, okay, I invest in technology because I want to be faster and or because I want to reduce costs. And finally, the fourth category is the workforce engagement. You might decide with your company to invest in a digital solution in order to make your workforce happier, more satisfied, and also more productive. These business objectives, they interact with each other. Digital transformation normally changes the entire business 360 degrees. So they don't exclude with each other, but very often they go hand in hand. Nevertheless, the finding is, before onboarding on any digital transformation project, the objective must be crystal clear in advance. Otherwise, companies find themselves in trouble. Think about a C-suite, the C-suite, the management that needs to decide on an investment. You might have the chief executive officer that is thinking about finding new ways to make money, changing the business model. And that's why he or she endorses the transformation. But you might have in the same management board the chief financial officer for whom the most important thing is reducing costs. And the focus could be operational efficiency. So companies are made by people. People have different needs and different objectives. If you don't clarify the objectives in advance, you might realize that there is a fundamental misunderstanding when it's too late, and then you don't get the results. This is for the first finding. The second finding has to do with the measurement. So you have decided what your business goal is. Fine. How do you measure if you are on the right path? How do you measure if you have achieved your objective? Measurement is a key element. I repeat it. They say you cannot manage what you don't measure. And this is really key to the final success of digital transformation initiatives. We have realized in the research that successful initiatives are measured according to some key performance indicators that have very clear features, characteristics. The first one is that the measurement is quantitative. You need numbers. You cannot discuss success or failure in a qualitative way. I still see it a lot. You go to meeting with companies, they say, yeah, my business transformation, my digital initiative was good, but they are not able to show you why, how. You need numbers, so KPIs that are in absolute terms, numbers, or in percentage gains, but still numbers. The KPIs need to be defined in advance. It's completely pointless to look for results, measure numbers after the fact. That is not management. That is just a desperate attempt to justify the investment when normally it's too late. When you have a number at the end of a project, what do you do with it if the project was not successful? You cannot correct. For the same reason, you need to monitor and fine-tune the KPIs continuously. You cannot wait 6 months or 1 year to start measuring. Digital disruption goes at the speed of light, and you need to keep the pace. You cannot wait. Then you have different categories of business objectives. If you decide to pursue all of them, for each of them, you need to have measurement in place. And for each category, more than one, more than KPI, because measuring is difficult, because the conditions can change internally, externally, because you might realize that, well, you wanted to measure an indicator, but then you don't know where to find the numbers. This is also possible. So you need to have a portfolio of KPIs available, and considering the digital transformation leads to convergence of sectors, don't look only at your business. Look also at other industries. Try to copy, to be inspired, if you prefer to use this expression, by other sectors. So to recap, there are two key findings of the research, which is ongoing, but still has given a clear output here. Successful digital transformation projects have business objectives, not just technology, that are defined in advance. And these business objectives are measured by KPIs. These are the two key findings. If I had to give one advice to whoever is in charge of starting a digital transformation project, if I had to give two advices, this would be my two advices. Now, we try to have a bit more interaction and a bit more fun. For each of the 4 business categories, I will share some real world cases, so with real companies. I think it's important because the theory is nice, but we are speaking about business. So we want to transform reality of business, and it's better to see real companies and how they handled it. Of course, I can only show 4 cases for a matter of time, but I will remain available later also in other occasions directly or via Mirko. One last thing, I will use images without putting the name of the company at the beginning, so that we try to have a little bit of fun and see if somebody guesses in advance the company. Let's start. So I said before that one category of business objective is new sources of value creation. Basically, a company decides, okay, we need to invest in digital technologies in order to change our business model and in order to find revenues and profit in a different way. Now, the real world example is described by this image. It's a metaphor, of course, again, ChatGPT. I played a bit with it. So you see some hands, it's a robot, but in reality, it's a human being playing on a tablet, playing some crossword. And you see on top some little things written, traditional business. So it's a company that exists since almost 200 years, working, doing business thanks to content and leveraging subscriptions. Does anybody have any idea of what this company might be? I don't know, Mirko, if somebody can write on the chat, wants to try. Even Mirko doesn't know the name, so you can all try to guess.
Yeah, I think that people can write it in the chat if they like. So we can
It's not
take
a quiz, you are free to make mistakes.
yeah, we give them some seconds to write in the chat.
I don't
Okay.
see the chat currently, so you can tell me if anybody has been putting
Actually,
names.
they don't have written something. They're a little bit shy to make.
Can happen.
I don't think you get your certificate also when you give the wrong answer. So feel free.
Don't worry, no worries. Well, we can anyway go ahead for the sake of time. So the company is the New York Times. I think everybody has heard about the New York Times. And I think everybody has experienced this around 2000, 2010. Many were convinced that newspapers like this one and others were doomed. They were supposed to disappear. Everyone said, yeah, big tech has monopolized the information. They can put everything online. Newspapers will disappear. Well, luckily, this is not the case. We have the New York Times as an example, but many more cases. How did they do this? So, the New York Times was smart to understand that digital technologies are a threat, obviously, but they also offer opportunities that are not available in the traditional part of the business. So they updated its business model and they, rationally speaking, decided, okay, we need to integrate digital technologies in order to find new source of values. That's important. So the objective was crystal clear from the beginning. Around 2011, they introduced a digital paywall. So what did they do? They started going online, but this is not just a translation from paper to online. They did more. The readers had the possibility to subscribe to the conventional package, the paper, to subscribe digitally, or even find a hybrid. But the special element is that the New York Times started using other content that cannot be vehicled on paper. Think about audio files like podcasts, any sound related file. They also integrated additional content. For instance, they acquired The Athletic, that is specialized on sports. They integrated some cooking elements. And they even integrated, and here you understand the reason for the picture, gaming, playing. You might have heard some years ago this game that went viral. It was Wordle, that was launched online and that has been acquired by the New York Times. So the New York Times has rationally integrated digital in a new business model and have managed to survive and also to thrive thanks to this. Now, we say business objective must be clear, value creation, but results must be measured with KPIs. How do we know that the KPIs are good? Here you will see three examples about the New York case example. So the first one is the active usage. I put this first for a very specific reason. So if you download the annual report of 2023 of the New York Times, that's free, it's public information, so you can go online and download it. Not inside the report that is made on many, many pages, but on the cover page, you see that they write, our puzzles have been played more than 8 billion times. So for me, this is very important. Putting this little piece of information on the cover page indicates not only that they know the importance of measuring the KPIs, but also that they know what kind of KPIs are needed when they changed the business model. I mean, in theory, for the press, it's the readership, the circulation, but no, on the cover they put active usage, 8 billion times puzzle played. That can be a KPI, it's a real one for the New York Times, but there are also things related to revenues. So now the New York Times explains that out of of all its subscriptions, 66% come from digital. So it's not anymore just paper, and this equals $1.1 billion. So you have a quantitative KPI in percentage and in absolute terms, and the same goes for advertising. So they explain that, well, in the past you could do advertising on paper in a pretty traditional way. When you are digital, you can also change the way you do advertising. And now 63% of advertising revenues of the New York Times come via digital. So you see, you have a very clear understanding of the objective and a very clear understanding of what to be measured. Now, I will not deep dive in the New York Times, but I would like to say that there are many other cases, use cases of digital transformation based on the sector, based on the technology, based on the specific company needs. So here I would like to share other possible KPIs or quantitatives that might be introduced. If you live in a digital ecosystem, imagine Amazon, imagine Alibaba, but there are more, and you do business online via partners, you might want to calculate the number of your digital partners or the revenues that come via your digital partners. These are both quantitative KPIs that help you a lot and that you can compare in different period of times. If you, regardless of your partners, you decide to put your business digitally using a channel, a digital channel, you might want to calculate the number of orders that arrive digitally or the revenues that you do in this way. You can even combine digital and physical revenues. A good example can be with retailers. There are retailer shops that now allow you to buy on site, buy on a mobile, buy on a website, and they leverage digital technologies because, for example, if you want to buy clothes, they make available a virtual fitting room. Is an app that allows you to test a cloth on yourself digitally. So in this case, you have a combination of an integration of the digital and physical world, and you can measure this in terms of revenues, for example, very easily. Or another case that is getting more and more frequent, meetings booked via AI. AI is used to contact prospects. There are already examples for this, and you can use this as a KPI. To recap, so we have an example of a very clear business objective and KPIs associated with it. Then it's up to you and your companies to decide what you want to do with it. Now, that is for the first business objective, but you can decide to use digital technologies in a slightly different way. You can decide to use digital to engage with your existing customers. You want to make them happier, you want to make sure they stay with you, you want to make some noise. And here you see a different image. You see this handsome guy dressed up in a traditional costume, and the text and there is a play button, so it's a video. And on top, you see that I mentioned some small retailers with low budget and a personalization via AI. I ask again a question. I don't know if the audience is again shy. Any idea of what this company could be or this use case could be about? I'll try. Mirko, you tell me if somebody writes the answer.
I do it. I look actually.
This is more for our. I don't know if there are any people from Asia and in particular from maybe India. That could be. I give a hint from this point of view.
We have one from Ulrika. She say India movie.
Yes, it's close to this. Yes. Okay. So thanks for answering. People are getting a bit less shy. Yes. So this image represents a Bollywood star. Bollywood is the name given to the Indian movie industry. Many don't know that actually the movie industry, in terms of number of movies produced, is bigger. The Indian one is bigger than even Hollywood. And this guy actually dressed up in traditional costume is supposed to be Shah Rukh Khan. I apologize if I pronounce the name incorrectly. Shah Rukh Khan is basically the biggest movie star, not only in India. It's been calculated that if you count the number of followers and fans, he has even more than the Hollywood star. You can Google him. I can share also a nice video if you want. So the company involved is Cadbury Mondelez. You might know the name. Cadbury is very well known for the chocolate. Mondelez has all kinds of snacks that are famous worldwide. I think they have Ritz, Lou. There are so many, and then each country has a lot. So it's a consumer good company in the food space, and they used in a very creative way AI on the Indian market. So what have they done? They try to engage small retailers. So imagine the little shops that are in India, but in many other countries, the mom and pop shops that sell food, but they also sell clothes or sell electronic devices. These people need to advertise, especially in times of crisis or especially during important parts of the year. In this case, is the Diwali, is the Hindu festival of lights, very, very important in India. They would like to do some advertising to increase their business, but of course, it's very hard to get a budget when you are so small, and certainly you cannot afford to be advertised by a superstar like Shah Rukh Khan. So what have they done? What has Cadbury done? They have used the AI. They have created a platform uploading a sort of video template with the real star, the real Shah Rukh Khan, the real one. And the little the owners, the shopkeepers of little entities could go online, register, and thanks to AI, update the video, making it in such a way that Shah Rukh Khan produces their name, pronounces their name, and says, "For the Diwali, please buy your next clothes at this shop in this town." So imagine the power of this when a legend like this is advertising your shop and tells your neighborhood, your town to come and shop with you. You can produce this, you can decide what Shah Rukh Khan will say, and post this automatically online on social media, on WhatsApp, you name it, in a very easy way. So this is one of the cases that I like the best because a lot of people say, okay, what do we do with AI? What do we do? And there is a lot of questioning about this. Sometimes it's just about having, some creativity like they did. Did this initiative work? Yes. How do we know? Again, we measure KPIs. So they have estimated that over 105,000 shopkeepers have gone online, registered, and produced videos. So the KPI is the active usage in this case. It's a number. On top of it, I will add that the number of videos is more than 105,000. It's about 130,000. Why? Because some people have produced more than a version. Has this worked in terms of sales? Yes, again. Comparing period on period, so the Diwali festival year on year, they have estimated an increase of roughly 30%, which is massive. And the campaign has gone viral. So in order to be viral, normally you need to spend a lot of money in PR. It would have been the equivalent of 1.5 billions. There is a nice online video that shows everyone speaking about this campaign in an enthusiastic way. So you see here a very smart way of utilizing AI relatively easily and engaging, well, in this case, is small shops and eventually engaging the end customers. Is one of my favorite examples, but there are many more of technologies enabling customer engagement. So putting for a moment aside Cadbury Model Ads, you might want to use other KPIs. For example, if you use chatbots to handle inquiries online, this is a possible KPI. How many inquiries of the total are handled via AI? If you want to use an app, please don't calculate, don't think about the download of the app. Think about the volume of transactions or value of the transactions on the app. You can calculate the number of hours saved by the customer. If the customer needs to interact less because he goes online and the chatbot gives an answer via after 1 or 2 interactions instead of 10, it has saved time. And you can use also KPIs in terms of customer reactivity. This is typical of online of e-commerce. Many people go online, they start their shopping cart and then they abandon it. But you can contact those people via an email or in other forms and bring them back online and so that they check out their purchases. So you see, you have different technologies, different opportunities. You just need to know what to do with them, in this case, customer engagement, and how to measure. There are 2 more examples. I take a look also at the watch because I want to make sure that we are on time. The third opportunity and the third case is about operational efficiency. So here you see some shiny bottles on a table and reflected in a screen. So we're speaking of personal care products and a company that has used digital twins to improve the time to market. I ask the question for the third time now. Does anybody have an idea of who could have leveraged successfully digital transformation in the personal care space? Mirko, I leave it with you if somebody answer.
1 second. We have we have 2 answers. First is also from Ulrike. She asked L'Oreal. And Luis says Douglas. I think it's only German, but
yeah, Douglas is the distributor. It could also be, in this specific case, though, the answer is Unilever. Unilever is a multinational company working also in the personal care. Personal care means shampoo, liquid soap, you name it. And there is a specific aspect of these products. The bottles are very important, to attract the customers. And the bottles need to be readapted very frequently, especially when there is a new launch. And this has a cost for the company. First of all, you need to produce physically the sample, but also you need to design it digitally, and this can require time. So what has Unilever done? They have used digital twins. They have created virtual versions of the new bottles that they needed to produce. And instead of producing physical samples in the traditional ways, they have used what? 3D printing. Do you remember 3D printing? It was a hype some years ago. Now it's almost disappeared because sometimes it's a fashion. The reality is that the technology is good if you know what to do with it. Unilever did, so they designed samples and produced them in 3D. Was this a good idea? Did it work well? Yes. Again, we know it because of measurement, thanks to measurement. The KPIs are clear. Thanks to this, first of all, they reduced the launch time. Instead of 9 months average, they went down to almost only 5 months, so half. They were faster in launching new products, very important for the market. But also, 3D printing allowed to reduce capital expenditures by around 70%, which is massive. So you have a gain of efficiency in terms both of time and of cost reduction. Again, you need to know what your objective is in terms of business and how to measure. This is for the Unilever example, but you have other possible KPIs. One thing that I want to stress is sustainability. We know that AI absorbs a lot of energy, so this is a problem for the environment and needs to be addressed. But besides this aspect, in many other contexts, digital technologies actually go hand in hand with sustainability. Think about reduction of energy spending in smart building. Think about reduction of paper, water consumption, fuel optimization in vehicle management. So you have KPIs in which you can use digital technology to track consumption reduction in a quantitative way and very easily. Or you can use technology to reduce defects and errors or just detect them, identify them earlier, faster. Another example is KPIs that show the reduction of costs for maintenance and repair. If you use predictive maintenance, instead of having an intervention from 1 month to another, maybe you extend the time from 1 quarter to another, and you reduce the inventory as well. Or with the same resources, you can increase the output. Here, I want to mention a sector that you will never think about probably, and is farming. Vertical farming, you might know what it is indoors farming, for instance, for growing salad. Instead of doing on a normal field outside, you put the farming in a building and you optimize the consumption of water, the humidity, you check the lighting, etc. Well, Aerofarms is an American farming company that has managed to increase by almost 400 times the output, the crop, compared to the equivalent outside in traditional farming. By the way, saving almost 95% of the water. So you need to know what to do and you will get the results. I accelerate a little bit to speak about the last real world example, which is the workforce engagement. So you can use digital technologies to engage better your own workforce for different purposes. You want to make your workforce happier and also get them to be more productive. Why not? Here you see a screen, a lot of colorful t-shirts on this screen, and you see the little text on top that speaks about massive catalog, product description, and again AI. I want to use AI examples because it's someone that everyone speaks about nowadays. So it's e-commerce. I tell you, it's not really t-shirts. I like this image, but it's e-commerce on lingerie. Does anybody have an idea about the name? It's not a famous company. So if nobody gives an answer, I understand that. But Mirko, maybe, let's see, maybe somebody knows this case study. So who could?
Actually, let's take a look. No, but I think we can give them some seconds.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been recently acquired by a famous company, I have to say.
Yeah, we have one. Victoria's Secret.
Oh, I would give the certificate to the person who has answered, or with honor mention. So the original company is Adore Me that has been acquired by Victoria's Secret. I congratulate on the answer. I think it's good, very well done. So yes, Adore Me is an e-commerce, a lingerie e-commerce. And like many e-commerce companies, many companies in general, not only e-commerce, there is a problem when you have a massive catalog. It can be t-shirts, it can be lingerie, it can be the spare parts of a car, it can be personal care products, it can be anything. When your catalog is big, putting it online or even offline requires you to write a product description. Otherwise, people will not buy. They need to know the size, other features depending on the specific product. And the product description of a catalog is one of the most boring and frustrating activities ever. You need to have a professional writer in charge of this, but a professional writer prefers to focus on creativity, creating a new slogan, a new campaign, certainly not wasting hours writing this for a dull task. That's the problem. On top of it, it's very time consuming, even more if you need to translate the description in many languages. And if you do this repeatedly, you get lost and it's easy to make mistakes. So Adore Me has said, okay, let's try to use AI. They have adopted AI, first of all, feeding it, training it with brand compliant content. So they're given its own company content like blog posts, LinkedIn posts, PR, marketing campaigns, so that the AI could understand what kind of language Adore Me uses. And then they have outsourced to to the AI the product description. It's not that the AI writers, the content writers are not there. They are still there and they check the outcome, but they can spend most of the time on more profitable tasks. How do we know that this has worked out? Again, we need to measure. We need KPIs, quantitative. And here we go. The company has estimated a saving of roughly 35 hours per each writer every month. It's a lot. It's all time that can be dedicated to more interesting activities. Everything happens more faster because anyway, a writer can be as fast as you want, will never be able to produce almost 3,000 product descriptions in minutes. Imagine the day you need to redo the catalog because the season changes and from the summer you go to autumn, like it's happening right now in Switzerland where I live. Well, you cannot compete with a machine. At the same time, is the quality of these catalogs good? Yes, because we have an indicator, which is the click-through rate of the online product description that has increased by around 23% in roughly 6 months. Now, this KPI is not really a workforce engagement KPI. If you think about it, it's a customer engagement. Why did I put it here? For 2 reasons. First of all, because I wanted to close the loop about this case study, Adore AI, but also because I want to reinforce the message that with digital transformation, you can obtain different business objectives at the same time. What is needed is that you know in advance what you are doing. So this was for Adore Me, but you might have other KPIs in different forms. Technology can reduce incident on manufacturing lines. Think about industry production in different sectors, oil platforms, but even more regular context. You can use a digital platform to answer the questions of your employee, offloading HR. So the number of inquiries is a good KPI. You can use wearable VR, AR for training or for remote working. There are cases of specialized technicians that instead of flying to the other side of the globe in order to solve a technical issue, they connect remotely with a colleague who is on site and has wearable, and they guide them in solving the problem. This makes for sure people happy when they are not obliged to travel for 24 hours, and also the customer. The same goes for training. Or you can use gamification. So if you launch a new product and want to be sure that people learn about the features of the new product, you can send a quiz, and instead of doing this in class, you use gamification and compare the accuracy. And so the percentage of accurate answers can give you a valid quantitative KPI. Same goes for active participation in challenges online, for instance, who sells the most unit in the first week from the launch. So you have the possibility to engage your workforce using different parts of the different technology solutions. Now, this was for the first the 4 examples. As I mentioned, there are many more. You cannot go in all the details. It's basically impossible. This research has started 5 years ago. It continues. If you are interested to know more, you can just go to this link, go online to the business school website of IMD, and check a huge database of over 80 real-world cases. It's free of charge. You don't need to pay. You don't even need to register. The registration is needed only if you want to download stuff, but you don't have to do it. So you can go online and see all this framework and use it. See if it gives you good ideas, inspires you to do the right thing. Here you see the overview. So you see, and I want to use this to repeat the concept and the guidelines. So if you want to onboard, you or your customers, your partners want to onboard on digital transformations, please do it. It's needed. You need to stay in the market. It's important. But please, first of all, keep in mind that there are four possible business, not technology, business objectives you need to focus on. New sources of value creation, you see it up left in the slide, or customer engagement, or operational efficiency, or workforce engagement. This has to be crystal clear and agreed to with the management in advance. Then, for each of these, you have different measurement areas. The bubbles are colored here, so you have different ways of measuring, and in each measurement area, you see different KPIs. Once you have decided what objectives you want to obtain, you need to measure using key performance indicators. And I repeat that again, it's really important. Quantitative, so absolute numbers or percentage gains. Define in advance, not after the fact, because it's too late. They need to be continuously fine-tuned and monitored. Start measuring from the very beginning. Don't wait 3 weeks, 3 months, or even longer. It might be too late. Think about measuring in all the business objective categories and using more than one KPI for each category. And finally, maybe don't think only about your own industry, think about other industries, because digital transformation leads to the convergence of sectors. So you might be surprised in what you can learn by getting inspiration from other sectors. And that is it. Here there are some articles or elements that I can share. I want to say thanks to all of you. And maybe, Mirko, we still have some time for questions.
Yeah, I have also a question. If there
Sure.
also, you don't need to say a company, but is there also companies they make mistakes by choosing their KPIs?
Yes, there are many. So the typical case is companies that don't use them. Now I cannot, of course, mention names, but I found myself in meetings in which they said, this is successful, project really successful, great. And I say, okay, what are the KPIs that show it? And they don't have it. And you have very often an indicator which is clear. Those that make mistake, they have KPIs, but I give you one real example without mentioning the name. They say, I have these users, these people use this new solution, this digital solution, and then you find out that they don't pay for it. They don't get any money for it. Now, it can be in the launch, and you don't need to make money immediately. But keep one thing in mind. Let's go back to the beginning. The budgets are cut. There are all kinds of problems. How long can you afford to invest in digital technology without being paid for it? So yes, there are companies that either don't measure at all or measure only partially and do mistakes. Another typical mistakes, this I hope it ends soon, is companies that say, oh, my app has been downloaded by, I don't know, 50% of my customers. Great. But how many of them use it actually? I don't know you, but guys, I have a lot of apps. I download them and I never use them. The download is probably the biggest mistake that I've seen in my experience. Download of an app is really, get rid of it. Don't think about it, because it's the biggest mistake you might make.
And what's your tip? Or no, I like to rethink my question. I think I see often companies they're doing some kinds of reports because they're doing reports. Yeah, you ask, what's your business questions, and how did you think companies should, how should they create the business questions to KPIs?
That's not an easy one. So very often they just take KPIs that they already had for the traditional business and they try to adapt it. It can even work. I'm not saying it's bad. If the KPIs worked well until now, why not? But what they should ask is before starting the project is again going back to the objectives. Okay, they say, okay, now we introduce artificial intelligence. What is our objective? Is it because we want to engage the customers? So if the answer is yes, then they should really focus on typical engagement KPIs. So they should, for a moment, put aside what they have been doing until now. If you stay in the old mindset, it's difficult. You will just try to translate digitally something that was a conventional KPI. It's not an easy exercise. I'm not saying I don't blame anybody, but you should, for a moment, think about the objective, forget the technology, and then based on this, try to restart. Not easy. Let me put it in this way. If you have a digital transformation project, and for that project, you still use the same KPIs that you were using before, there is something wrong. You are missing something. It cannot be, it means that you have not transformed, that everything is the same, and so you have just done a technology upgrade. But it's not easy, I admit it.
Yeah, I have also an old example. I worked also for a big company,
You see that, huh?
and they have shops and have an e-commerce shop, and then they measure visitors in the shop with the same value like shop people in the store. So
because they don't transform the business model, they just think it's a mirror. Let's go back to the New York Times. It's like the newspaper. They say, okay, now we put our newspaper online, and it's exactly the same. No, it's not exactly like that. We speak of digital transformation. So if it's still the same, it's not a transformation. It's just copy and paste from physical world to digital. It just doesn't fly.
And what did you think about transformation through generative or AI machine learning? Will we see there a change in creating and work with AI also in this, I think, high level, or is it more it's not so I don't know, it's not so relevant on this level?
No, I think that AI will really be everywhere. So it's now there is a hype, but even if it's a hype, in general, AI will be very important. You can use it in many, many ways to be more efficient. It can summarize documents for you. It can do a lot of things. You can do it for many, many things. But first of all, before, I don't think AI will replace human beings, either in management in general. It doesn't have the sensitivity. It doesn't understand. I use it. I never use it to generate content because somehow it doesn't understand what I want. And I don't think we'll get there anytime soon. So, but if you know what you want to do it, if you design a set of tasks, it can be very helpful. I see it as a valid support to gain efficiency, but not a replacement. If you think AI can replace people, well, first of all, the next one who will be replaced is you. And secondly, it's just wrong. It cannot happen. But it's moving it's moving fast, and it can be used in many different contexts. This is also the beauty of it. You can do a lot of it. One little suggestion is that you also should understand it well, because many people don't really know what AI is about. You speak about ChatGPT, okay, fantastic. It's a very great tool. There are many more. But many people don't deep dive. They don't understand the problem with hallucinations, the confidentiality of data. So what we need, well, webinars like this, it's also education. about this. But I believe AI will integrate the way we work, not replace it. I don't see it coming.
Yeah, I like your quote. I will use it in the future
Which one?
when some from the leadership says the AI will replace the people. So that's good. When you think that's AI replace you, that's cool. I like
Well, if you
it.
really believe that, why not? Now, in my experience, not even close to that. But can do a lot of
Yeah,
fun things.
yeah,
It's a tool.
yeah.
It's a,
The quote. The quote is it's really. I will use it. We
okay,
have two questions.
sure.
I think
We can.
it's okay. We have we was on this measurement, and is it important to clarify with your team the KPIs so they can understand it, or we have this like the shop visitors and the offline shop visitors. So I
Uh-huh.
think yeah, I think it's important, but yeah, how I think how to do it. I think it's a questions to clarify KPIs or relevant KPIs.
So if the question is for me, so not about your specific case, but I think there are touch points. So I think that you should, I go back to the beginning. If you don't have clear KPIs before, you should not even start. So if this is the starting point, then yes, not only you have to clarify, but you need to decide together with the rest of the team what you want to measure. It's better because otherwise, if there is some disagreement, companies are made of people. People make mistake or they do their best to sabotage the KPI or you name it, or they don't understand it. It's possible. So it has to be clarified, but in advance. So decide together. Okay, we will measure this. And if you do it, you start in the right way. If you don't do it, don't start the project. You will waste a lot of money. I hope I answered the question. I don't know if it was also for you, Mirko, because you were sharing that example.
And yeah, the last it's not a real question, but I think it's a good closing words from Joe. That's really great
Thanks.
information. The stuff that people don't see and media don't cover. We love the exciting tech, but dismiss the measuring its impact. It should always be about ROI, not flash.
Thank you, Joe. I take it as a compliment and thanks for the comment. Yeah, it's true. I can say that when we started this 5 years ago, it was not a topic. People say, hey, let's invest. It was the cloud, other things. Now it is. Why? Because there is not so much money left. And when money is tiny, and then people suddenly they say, okay, what is the ROI? So Joe and everyone, yeah, things have changed in the past 1 year, 1.5 years, and now I get involved in a lot of projects because people say, hey, I don't want to do anything without first understanding what the results might be. So clear objectives and measurement via KPIs.
Yeah, so thank you.
Thank
Then
you.
I say don't forget to get your certificate on the link. So you can post it on LinkedIn. It's digital certificate. So it's also get this budget. And yeah, also I think yeah, you can also write the lion text also in the chat so we can connect each other. For the next shows, you can join us on Meetup and see it there. And yeah, I think this was a great session. And also,
Thank you.
you can. We have got a question. I put it on the stage.
Okay. Well,
But also you can also start to give Massimo some likes, so you can start click the like button for him, and then I do this question for Vaga. How do digital tools impact employee productivity and engagement, and what KPI reflects that?
So I thanks for the question. I'm not sure Pragata was in when I shared the case of workforce engagement because they could have given a part of the answer. So I will maybe go back to that for a second. We give the example of AI writing products descriptions of the employee. So AI digital can be a tool used by the individual employee to do a part of the work. So reducing the time and the effort and also the mistake possibilities on a certain activities. This is a way. Then you can have platforms or tools to share information. Also, talent management can be diversity and inclusion. So this is a different form where, for instance, instead of having people overwhelming HR with some questions, they go directly in this way. And so, or you can have other tools like wearables that replace physical traveling in, for instance, tech support, intervention, etc. So you have many, and accordingly, you have KPIs that could be the number of hours saved on a task that people don't like, the reduction of mistakes, the reduction, the number of people using wearables on total intervention, and so on and so forth. I hope I answered your question, Pragata. Otherwise, we take it offline. I will share the slide anyway, Mirko, so that can give a good piece of information.
The people can join us on the Data and Analytics LinkedIn page, and we share the recap and we put the slides inside, so all the people can have the slides and download them from there. So.
With pleasure. It's the best thing, and I remain available. I'll put my contacts there, my personal email and LinkedIn anyway. Hey, Data and Analytics is a great group, so you can also go via Mirko. I'm happy to stay in touch.
Yeah.
So
then
thank you very much.
Thank you.